And to trending now. One of the biggest trending stories of last year was about a 16-year-old Nick Sandmann, a student who's just had a huge win. I wish it was trending as big as the accusation did last year. Big news organisations in the United States, Britain and Australia rushed back then to damn Sandmann as a wicked racist after a fake Twitter account posted a selectively edited video of a confrontation in Washington between this Catholic schoolboy and a Native American activist called Nathan Phillips, who later claimed that the boys there, some of them wearing Donald Trump caps, boo hiss, had surrounded him after their pro-life rally had finished and made him feel threatened. Now, this was enough for America's big media outlets to pile onto these boys enormously, especially Sandmann, and so did our own ABC.
Video that's gone viral of the Native Americans surrounded by Catholic teenage high school students from Kentucky.
Some of these teens are wearing the MAGA hats, Make America Great Again, and Nathan Phillips said he felt, he really felt concerned and alarmed there. He continued to go on with his song. I should point out, is a veteran. He was a veteran of Vietnam, the Vietnam War.
It's this shot here that bothers me the most, I think, that he's sort of standing in his face, trying to, it would appear that he is trying to intimidate.
Well, respect, and it's pure hate.
But all of this on the backdrop of 2 years since President Trump was inaugurated.
You know where I'd build a wall, Sarah?
Where would you put that wall?
Right around that college. Stopping those kids getting out into the public.
It's pure hate, so the journalists throwing pure hate at this 16-year-old's way. In the US, on Twitter, in the media, on TV, everywhere, the abuse of that 16-year-old was vile.
Blame that kid. What a little smirk face.
Papers like the New York Times and Washington Post called Sandmann and the other boys there racist. The journalist of the Vulture website said he wanted them dead. The boys got death threats. The school had to close. But the thing is, almost everything that was said about them and about Phillips, their accuser, was false. For a start, Phillips lied. He isn't a Vietnam veteran. And the full video of their confrontation showed that these boys were innocent. They'd been waiting for their school bus. And then black activists, homophobic ones, abused them, including one of the boys who was black himself.
Damn!
That's right.
Yeah, you's a cracker.
A bunch of babies made out of insects.
When you get old enough, they're gonna steal your organs.
Whoa, hey, we love you, bro. Hey, we love you, kid.
You give rights.
And then it was Phillips who confronted the boys, not vice versa. Walked up to them, banged his drum right in the face of Sandmann, who didn't know what he was supposed to do, so just stood there and smiled. Now, normally the story ends with the Twitter mob and the media just ruining some poor schmuck's life, bugger the facts, except this time a lawyer took on Nick Sandmann's case, and he sued left-wing outlets like CNN and the New York Times and the Washington Post, The Guardian, Rolling Stone and more, a real David and Goliath battle. And early this year, CNN reached a confidential settlement, and last weekend, Sandmann tweeted, "Today, I turned 18 and the Washington Post settled my lawsuit. I still have more to do." In fact, he's got 6 more cases to get settled. Joining me is Daisy Cousins, YouTube star with her own video channel. Daisy Cousins, how big is this one?
Well, Andrew, as Donald Trump would say, this is huge. This is absolutely huge, and I cannot tell you the immense satisfaction I feel that Nick Sandmann has been vindicated in this way. It is just fantastic. He and those boys were brutalized on Twitter and in the media. So just some of the most extraordinary stuff was said about them. And along with what you mentioned before about the death threats, etc., there were high-profile people tweeting that Nick Sandmann had a punchable face. For goodness sake, he's a 16-year-old boy. And probably one of the worst ones was the actor Michael Rappaport. He's the star of Atypical, which is a Netflix series. He made a video talking about them, saying just the most unimaginably venomous, abusive, age-inappropriate stuff. You know, enough to take your breath away, and on it went, this massive power trip of these people with these massive platforms. And of course, Andrew, the reason it was so vicious and so quickly, with no wonder at all about what the context of the situation was totally ideological. It's because they were wearing MAGA hats, and it was because at that point in time, those spoiled little leftist brats in the media and on Twitter were discontent that Trump was still their president. I mean, Joy Behar, who's a host of the show The View, she admitted it. She said when they were speculating about it, the reason it was so vicious was because, to quote her, they hadn't managed to impeach Trump yet. So what a wonderful 18th birthday present for Nick Sandmann, and I hope he is enjoying that Schadenfreude.
Yeah, don't forget to Elizabeth Warren, who was running for president for the Democrats for the nomination. She also piled in and called him a racist. His own bishop disowned him and said, oh, look, we'll look at expelling him, and later apologised, thank goodness. Some of these media companies should have done that a lot sooner, but they would have broken their heart to apologise to the guy with the Trump hat on. Meanwhile, there's been another media pile-on of a Melbourne woman who refused to wear a face mask in Bunnings. It was quite rude to the poor staff. Here she is.
And you're discriminating against me.
Discrimination. We're all just trying to all be in this together. We all
All
have to
in
wear a
what
mask.
together? I actually don't. And you're not authorised by the Australian government to even question me about it.
It's a condition of entry of our store as
Then that's discrimination, and I can have you sued personally for discriminating against me as a woman.
Give those poor staff a break. Now, this woman has been monstered on the media up hill and down Dale, and by the Premier of Victoria. Here he is.
Seriously? One more comment about human rights. Honestly, it's about human life. And if we continue with this stuff, standing in the car park at Bunnings reading whatever nonsense you've pulled up from some obscure website. But having said that, now that'll run in your news tonight. That was not what I was wanting to achieve. Today's message, and the message that will be the most powerful and the most impactful, the message that will save lives, is not focusing on people who, frankly, their behaviour is appalling. Their views have no basis in science or fact or law. Don't focus on them. What we should be focusing on is appealing to every single worker. Don't go to work if you've got symptoms. You've lured me into making some comments, but it is frustrating, and again, perhaps I apologise for letting my frustration get the better of me.
She serves as a convenient scapegoat, but maybe this goat deserves the scaping.
Look, I mean, for goodness sake, I mean, what that woman, her behaviour was just so childish. I mean, really, that's the only way to describe this. So, I mean, for me, the issue here, it isn't really the issue that she wasn't wearing a mask. I mean, that there are people that are exempt from wearing masks. Of course, you can get a medical exemption. The issue is that she was so unforgivably rude to those poor staff members. Not just rude, but aggressive and threatening. And I commend them for standing their ground. And the ironic thing is, Andrew, is that she actually had a medical certificate exempting her from wearing masks, but she didn't pull it out until after she got arrested, which leads me to believe that she wanted to go viral. This was an attention-seeking stunt.
That's it. She wanted to make fools of these kids. The kids acted with grace and dignity that the adult did not have. Daisy Cousins, thanks for your time.